The CERIAS Security Seminar from Purdue University. Today's guest is Dr. Myron Cramer, the founder and director of Essex IA Sector, a division of Northrop Grumman. Dr. Cramer has over 30 years of experience in government and commercial technology programs, and his background includes positions at Booz Allen Hamilton, SAIC, ARINC Research Corporation, and the Georgia Tech Research Institute. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Cramer.
Thank you. Today I'm going to talk to you about concepts in something called security architectures. I'm going to talk about the Enclave model for security architectures, as well as some reasons to go beyond the Enclave and to extend some of the concepts and the methodologies that are part of security engineering to include capabilities for new information system requirements. The overview of the talk is that the conventional model, the conventional Enclave architecture model, does not easily support collaboration, collaborative information sharing, things like web services, and other needs that are evolving as part of things that people refer to as Web 2.0 or net-centric systems. The solution is to come up with more creative models or new ways to apply security concepts and to apply new technologies like virtualization to provide security and to develop new security solutions for some of these problems. The assumptions that are part of this talk are that we have a need for cross-domain information sharing. And when I talk about cross-domain, I mean across different companies, across different organizations, more than the typical single enclave concept. And then I'm also looking at some of the new applications that are exciting on the internet today, things that are referred to under names like web services. So the topics that I'm going to talk about include the general concept of some of the problems that we're looking at, the approach toward security architecture and engineering, the kind of an introduction to the Enclave security model for those who may not be familiar with that, talk about how you end up typically implementing an Enclave architecture, and then some of the aspects of the cross-domain problem and some of the architectural ideas that we're working with in terms of how to implement cross-domain solutions. Talk a little bit about web services and the challenges that those pose, as well as some of the technologies that we have available to address these kinds of challenges. So the traditional problem in today's security world is how do you secure information systems? How do you control access to these systems? How do you implement things like a need-to-know type of policy? Today's conventional systems typically take an approach that, in general, people are denied access to information unless they have a validated need to know. And so they err on the side of denying access unless somebody can produce the appropriate credentials to gain access to these systems. So really the new challenge in today's world is how to satisfy collaboration. Things are not based on individual contributions to the degree that they have been in the past. We're looking at people working together, sharing information, sharing applications, the whole experience on the web today, the things that are exciting, with some of the new applications, really talk about making that information available to other people, other partners that you want to work with. And so we're really looking at a requirement to share. And so we're looking at how do you secure the need to share as opposed to securing the need to know. And there are different models and different concepts. And so there are new challenges with doing that. This is kind of a simplification of what's called the Enclave architecture. How many people have seen things like this before? Or is this something that is a generally new concept? Where you talk about having a DMZ or a service network that is physically separated from your internal network. On the left side of the diagram, you'll see public areas. So we're basically separating trusted users and trusted systems from untrusted areas. And then we have a separate set of parts of the information system that are accessible, and then the internal parts of that system are not accessible to outside or untrusted users. That's one of the basic concepts. The Enclave Architecture has kind of been the gold standard for security architectures. If you're looking at what is the best way, the best model to build your systems, is to separate systems in this type of fashion. So what I'm going to talk about is really the whole process by which you come up with a solution for securing your information systems and how to implement those with off-the-shelf commercial products. So we really talk about the process of first an architecture and an engineering process, where we translate the requirements into a design, and then we implement the design with products, and then we operate that in accordance with a business model that satisfies the things that we're trying to do. Together, as part of this process, we have something called defense in depth, where we have layers of protection. We control access to the people who need that access, and then we monitor that access, and then we respond to issues as they may be occurring. The starting point is really, what are the policies or the requirements? One of the criticisms that I've seen for a lot of different systems is that people have not consciously thought about what is it they're trying to do. And so they tend to try to apply a cookbook solution, which may be the right solution for somebody else, but it's not the solution for what they're trying to accomplish with their system. And typically, the contractors who are brought in to build systems for large companies, for example, will be basically following some blueprint that is a generic blueprint, and that the best results follow when somebody has taken a conscious step of really stating and thinking through what they're really trying to do, and then coming up with the design that is tailored to that specific need, and then implementing it with products that are configured correctly. And so we're really looking at the right way to go through that whole process. So when we talk about security requirements, there are a number of ways to capture and describe security requirements, and you probably have seen these written up in different ways. So what I'm trying to do is keep this talk at a fairly high level that would be applicable across the board to many different applications. And the simplest way to think of security requirements is to break them up into three primary groups: things that relate to confidentiality of information, things that relate to the integrity of the information, and then the availability of the information. And one of the mistakes that's often made is to think only of confidentiality and to think that's security. Many systems that require security are not really focused on the confidentiality aspects of that. That may not be important. For example, if you go to a website that is maybe publishing information like a newspaper, there is no confidentiality. You want people to see it. You want them to read it. So what's important to you is that the information does not get altered, or that the website does not get hacked, for example, and that it's available, that when people click the button, it comes up. And you don't just get the site not available type issue, because your business may depend upon that e-commerce system being there to serve the customers. So when we look at confidentiality, there's a wide set of different things that make up confidentiality. Certainly access control is the obvious one, and there are different degrees of access controls depending upon your users. Are these people that are all trusted employees? Then if they are, then you may be happy with the standard Windows or operating system user accounts. That may be sufficient. Or you may require stronger access controls if you have both inside users